Hey guys, this is Shadowq, and today I'm going to be talking about Kumbhakarna, what to do in every part of the game, and what his abilities do, and how to use them. So let's get going. First off, let's talk about his passive. Instead of dying, Kumbha actually falls asleep, and he has a certain number of hits that he takes to kill him. So if the enemies do a certain number of basic attacks, he actually dies. But if they do not kill him in a certain amount of time, he reses. So the higher level he is, the more hits it takes to kill him, and it's just basically a lifesaver sometimes. His 1 is a dash that does damage to everybody in front of him, just like this. And it also flings minions, which do damage in their path. His 2 is a root that does damage, that has a long channel time. His 3 is a mesmerize, which means it breaks on damage, but otherwise they have no control of their character. And if they're broken from the mez early, it slows them. And also added to his kit in I guess it was a while ago now, but there's also an attack speed debuff that increases per rank, where it slows their attack speed for a few seconds afterwards too. His ult, or I'll show them as real quick, and then his ult basically knocks somebody up into the air, and it does damage when they land, and knocks everybody else back around him when they land. It does damage initially, but much more damage when they land. So let's talk about each ability. The first thing that you want to notice as Kumbha is his passive is a 240-second internal cooldown, which is really, really long. So if you don't have your passive up, you should know that going into a fight. Like, every single time you fight, you want to look at his passive and be like, okay, I can bait a fight, I can bait them to dive me, and I actually won't die. Like, you need to be able to know when you can do that and when you can't. And in fights, like, sometimes you can actually intentionally soak more damage than you otherwise should be able to, because your passive can save you. Like, that's a huge part of his kit that you should really play around. Now, let's talk about his 1. His 1 is called Throwback, and this ability is like why Kumbha is a fun character to play. So obviously, if you just want to defaultly lane clear, okay, let's pretend I didn't miss that minion, but let's say you want to defaultly lane clear, you just shoot it, and shoot a minion straight forward. And we're just going to wait for cooldown here. So you shoot a minion, it flings it straight forward, you're all good. However, there's a different way to use this ability that most people don't realize, and people always it's a hilarious thing, but it's always funny when people don't know about it and they say it for the first time. So when after you dash, if you turn your camera, the minion goes in whatever direction you're facing after you hit the minion. So I'm gonna aim a minion directly to the right here. I just left click and then turn, and that's that. Super simple, so much time. Anybody can do this. It's not super skillful. Granted, hitting hard skill shots like that are really tough, but getting this concept down really isn't tough. Like, you can actually aim it completely behind you, and that's always a great way to try your ADC. Just throw it behind you, and they have actually no idea what just happened. So that's actually great. This can be used to poke out enemies like in the lane if they're low. It can be used to secure kills, and I can go into a few other ways to use it later. Or if you're coming in from the side of the lane, it actually just lets you wave clear. I actually missed one of the creeps there, but you get the idea. It's a really, really easy way to do it, and that's that. So one thing that you have to worry about when you're using Kumbha's 1 is that it is not knock-up immune, unlike a lot of other dashes in the game. So if you're facing a Geb or something, or if even Athena, it's not CC immune either, so Athena's can taunt you, Ymir's can freeze. So if you get frozen mid-dash, it just stops. That's it. You don't get the knock-up. Like, if it didn't do damage yet, it just stops it. So if you're laning against a Geb and you dash and you get knocked up, you just lose your whole lane pressure, and you probably lose the lane after that. So you got to really watch that. The other thing that's really, really important about his mez, and it's going to be kind of hard to show in jungle practice, so I'll do my best. Let's say I mez a target over here, and it lasts for 3 seconds. I can actually go fling a creep to them afterwards. So, that's just a really, really strong way to get in bonus damage. Because if you notice the tooltip, basically, the flying minion damage is actually 20 damage more than just the flat damage from hitting the target. Plus, it does do damage to creeps, which is a small bonus. Plus, it pierces through, so maybe you hit someone on the other side. But, the theory is that, if you mez somebody over here and you don't quite have enough damage to kill them, or you need to, pierce through them, or you need to get out or something. So, I'll mez a creep. I'll mez these creeps all the way back there. I guess I mez the melee, too, so that doesn't really show. But if I wanted to throw through them, I could mez here, run over, and then hit. And that's a really, really complicated thing, but it is very, very helpful sometimes. So that's all I really wanted to say about that. as far as wave clear and Kumba, you want to be using a combination of your 1 and your 2. So first on Kumba, you want to level your 1. You want to max this to 2 points first, and then you want to get your root. Those two moves together should help you clear the wave. And just rooting the wave for damage is definitely good enough. So here's a typical wave clear. Obviously, it's going to be different because I have a weird amount of spell power, and you know, I'm level 20, so it's going to be weird. But that's basically how you clear the wave. You don't always hit every minion, but it's really, really good wave clear. It's super simple. And yeah. So let's talk about the root a little bit more. I guess in order for us to talk about more things that are complicated about the root, we should talk about the mez. But the one thing I do want to mention about the root is that it has an extremely long cast time, but if you get CC'd while channeling it, it doesn't use the cooldown. So if you get like Athenaton, you can just use the cooldown right again afterwards. And also, an important thing that you have to know for the root is that it is actually knock-up immune. Same thing for knockback, they're the same thing. But it's knock-up and knock-back immune, which means that you can just use it to immune, like, let's say you're going it on her and you think he's going to parry you, just preemptively do your 2, even though you don't think it's going to hit, so you can like go on him afterwards, you know, just to immune the knockback, which is huge. That's a very, very important part of his kit. Another thing is, so let's talk about the mez real quick. One thing that you can do is mez and then auto attack to break it out early, because if you break out somebody from the mez early, it actually slows them, and that's a huge part of his kit. You also need to know that like how long the mez duration is, because per rank it's different. So, but right now I'll just show it at rank 3 or at max rank because it's easier. So like if I mez them, I can wait till the very last second and then auto attack, and then they're slowed for the full duration afterwards. And that just is like more CC than you could possibly imagine. And how you work this in with the root is, let's say you just want to maximize CC completely, you just mez, wait till the last second, and then do this, and then you can root afterwards. Because they're slowed for 2 seconds, this channel time is like second or so. I don't know exactly the channel duration. But like you want to wait for the slow to end before rooting, basically, just to get that extra bit of CC out there. So like that CCs them for a little bit longer than they otherwise would be. So the other thing I want to talk about for the mez, actually, other than breaking it at the last second intentionally with a 1 or an auto attack or anything just to get the slow off, is that the mez actually has a decently long cast time. So if you're expecting to get CC'd, you will not get your mez off. It has a cast time. Like, look how long it takes for it to actually make that doink. I don't know how to describe it. The doink sound, right? So you actually have to be really, really careful about the cast time. And the final part that I really should discuss with Kumbhakarna is his ult interacting with other stuff. His ult's pretty simple. You just fling somebody in the air, and I'll try to show as many of these as I can without waiting too long, because the cooldown is 42 seconds, which isn't that short. So one thing that you can actually do is you can mez somebody, like you blink mez somebody, and then you ult, and it guarantees your ult. I don't have to do it there because it's really, really simple. Like you just ult to, or you mez to ult, like it guarantees it. That's super simple. If you want to hold, like sometimes you can just blink ult, just because it's really easy to do and it's guaranteed, and then they can't react, and then they can't beads your ult afterwards and stuff like that, which is really, really a good thing to do a lot of the time, by the way. Just like blink ulting on Kumba is very strong. You should do that a lot. But let's say they have no ult regardless, you can actually blink, mez, then ult to basically give yourself the benefit of the doubt, so it'll hit automatically. So that's a strong combo as well. Otherwise, something that's weird is sometimes people in ranked are really bad at following up. So what you can do is, this basically guarantees they can't use an escape unless they have a super fast escape. You just ult to mez. So what you're going to do is you're going to mez, and then right before they land, you're going to cast your mez. And since it has cast time, you can precast it, so that way they're mezzed as soon as they hit the ground. Very, very simple. So I'll show you guys real quick. I missed there, actually, but I guess you get the idea. God damn it. I missed the one time I always hit it. You watch my replays. I hit it all the time, but it's actually really easy to do. You just mez right before they hit the ground, so that way they're in CC for your team, and even if they don't follow up immediately, they're still stuck where you ulti them, and they're like just stuck in place. And the strength of that is that they couldn't pre-beads your ult, so that way they can't get out of that, and they still would have to burn beads for your mez otherwise. It also means that if there is follow-up, they're still slowed, so like it's worth it to use that cooldown sometimes. Another thing that you can worry about is, let's say 2 people are grouped up. I can't really show this here, but let's say this circle is where the knockback is going to happen from my ult, and there's somebody else mez next to him here, and he's going to land, or not mez, let's say he's rooted, or he's just going to get hit by the knockback from the other guy, and you don't want him to move. You want them to stay grouped up afterwards, because as soon as somebody lands from the ult, everybody else around them gets knocked backwards. That's just how the ability works. So in order to prevent that, if you ult, you can actually mez right as he's landing, and then anybody that was over here, they'd start getting knocked back, and they'd just stop right in place, because there was a patch that changed it so that way as soon as you get hit by a CC, you fall straight down. Like, that's just how the game works. It's not a bug, it's not anything special. I can explain why in a different video maybe, but it is supposed to be part of the game 100%. But getting hit by the mez stops them from moving, and it'll keep them grouped. So you just ult and then mez, like let's say you rooted somebody here, then you ult this guy, he goes up in the air, and then you mez both of them. It stops this guy from getting knocked back. It keeps him in place. And the other obvious combo, which I didn't do yet, is you just ult and then root afterwards. Like, you can actually start channeling the root instantly, and then you can get it to hit. Super easy, super simple. It's very good against people without a jump. It's just like a super easy follow-up, guarantees follow-up for your team. So those are all like the different combos that you can do with Kumba. The other one, I'll actually wait 27 seconds for this. The one thing that makes Kumba absolutely hilarious, though, other than the being able to fling minions in any direction that you want, is the ability to blink, mez, sunder, and then ult, and that does so much damage. Oh yeah, actually there is one other thing that you can do out of your ult. What you can do afterwards, you do your 1. If you do your 1 after your ult, it just adds more damage to the combo. It's just like really free. So this is how that would look altogether. I'm going to blink, mez them to guarantee my sunder and to guarantee my ult. I'm going to ult them, and then as soon as they land, I'm going to do my 1. And this combo will, it just does a ton of damage. So let's take a look. So we're going to mez, and at any point, doesn't really matter. You just sunder and ult. Super easy, and then as soon as they land, do the 1. That's just like the combo. That's the highest damage combo. And it's super fun. And the thing is, like, Blink is a must on Kumba. You should buy this every game. Sunder is a troll active, but I would buy this on Kumba because it's fun. If you're looking for another active to get on him, options include Weakening, Heavenly, Shell, and that's like basically the main ones. So I hope this guide helps. Thank you guys so much for watching. Really appreciate it, and I'll see you guys next time.